Several years ago, I started to discover the beauty of Mexican sauces, and Pipian sauce is one of them, so check it out here. Part of this recipe is the creation of a stock that you'll use not only for the flavoring the sauce in the end and being the base of the sauce, but also for cooking the chicken legs, which will start in the stock and give a great flavor to the stock, but then also will be just cooked perfectly when they're simmered for about an hour. If you don't have time for this, you can just use a box of stock and cook the chicken legs with the chicken breasts, and it'll still be good. Right after we get the stock going, we're going to want to get the chicken breasts salted. Salting is something I've learned about from this really great book called Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, and it really helps meat reach its full potential. So anyway, you want to rub some salt into the chicken, all sides of the chicken breast, and the sooner you can do this, the better. Certainly for the length of the time the stock will be going for the optimal flavor. And so this book was where I turned when I first started trying. It was a book I received from a friend at dinner group for Christmas one year. And it's full of these really wonderful recipes of Frida Kahlo's stepdaughter, I believe, or stepniece. Anyway, and many of them, particularly the recipes that call for having some sort of a gravy, which I'm not finding right this second. Here's a whole page with moles, for the Day of the Dead. And anyway, these recipes call for many applications that use these chilies. And so eventually I got brave and I tried it. Oh, here are some seeds or some notes from the mole. You can see that it calls for like 1, 2, 3 different kinds of chilies there, and then all these other ingredients, and really a fascinating recipe. But this is not mole that we're making today. I'm just trying to express to you how interesting these chilies can be. So I started there, and I started using them with my own ingredients that I could find. One of the things that you do with these is you create these sauces, these purees with them. The ribs are the particularly spicy portions of the chilies, and if my family was more universally in favor of them, I'd just leave them, but I do want everybody to eat this, so I do remove some of the ribs. This one is a little spicier, and then these chilies, this is one of my very favorites, this chili negro. It has a texture that, this is a little bit older, but the really fresh ones are soft, and the flavor is almost like you would expect from a raisin. We start by breaking up all of these chilies and into sort of smallish pieces that we will then fry to soften with some onion and garlic, and that is going to be the base of our sauce. So this recipe, I like to not have odds and ends hanging out, and so it calls for 1 onion, and half of the onion is to be used in the stock that we're making, and half of it is to be used in this sauce. And then we don't have to worry about random bits of onion that are left over. So we're going to roughly dice this onion. This doesn't need to be a really fine dice because these things are just going to be cooking together, and then we're going to puree them. So the texture is going to be regulated by being pureed rather than the chopping. And then we'll just smash the garlic and get at it. I learned this trick from a friend of mine who was a chef for a time, and you've probably seen it on like Instagram or something, but if you take the little bottom part of the clove of garlic off and then just smash it with the side of your knife, then the skin peels right off and you don't have to worry about the skin being difficult to take off, which can be kind of a pain with garlic because the skin is just like really fine paper. And there we are. So we'll start with a couple tablespoons of oil in our pan and then add the onion. I will wait to add the garlic for a minute until the onions started getting soft because garlic tends to burn. A little bit of salt to help draw the moisture out of the onion. Once the onions get going, you tear up the chili and get that in there, and it will soften along with the onion. And this is going to be a really gorgeous soft base. Okay, so now that our vegetables are getting soft and fruits, we add some of our chicken stock and stir it up a little bit. And then we're going to add our nuts. So instead of a cream or something like that, the fat that's going to temper the chili and make the sauce interesting that comes from, in this dish, comes from cashews and sesame seeds. So we'll let these cook for a few minutes and help the nuts soften a little bit before we start to puree the whole mess of it and make our sauce. So this is kind of like licking the spoon. Be very careful, these blades are sharp, but this paste that has formed from the cashews and the chilies and the onions and garlic, it's creamy and complex, and it's going to form a really lovely base for this sauce on the chicken. So let's finish this up. Okay, so you can see that I'm using the pan that I used to cook the aromatics in, and that is because I don't want to lose the fond, which is all of that leftover stuff. So anyway, I am going to start by putting in the stock that it's awesome. Okay, we'll see it in a second. The stock that I made with the chicken, the drumsticks. And as we cook some of that fond off, it'll just go back into this sauce. So I have that, and now I'm going to add the cashew and chili sauce. And then once they're combined thoroughly, I'm going to add the chicken in, and it will go and cook. You can see this has a lovely color from the chilies and cashews. So we add the chicken. And we'll turn down the heat and just let this cook. So part of dinner in real time is that we often have crazy schedules. I had to make this dinner earlier in the day so that it would be ready. Half of the family was gone at a meeting and also at a practice in the evening at dinner time. So this was an easy dinner for the girls to put together and eat on their own while I took Bear to practice and Mr. Kent was away at a meeting. So here it is, the final dish in a kind of funny presentation, but I have to run off and take Bear to his fencing class. And so this is how dinner looks sometimes in real time. I hope you try it. This is a really, really yummy chicken dish, and check out the recipe at dinnerinrealtime.com.